God, this is disgusting. It's just not right and just off notes and. Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a special video, and this one is about Oktoberfest. It's not about Oktoberfest, it's about Oktoberfest beers, and it's about their bottled beers, and it's the 6 breweries. And what I've done, I've been waiting a year to get to this point. I stored 6 of the beers last year, the bottled beers, in the fridge until Oktoberfest 2023. So I've got Oktoberfest 2022 bottled beers and the Oktoberfest 2023 bottle beers. I wanted to do this because I see it on social media, I see it friends, Facebook, YouTube, Google. There's lots of questions about, is it the same beer? Does it taste different year on year? Now, the only thing I can think of, I've looked at all over the internet. I've looked at the official websites, and the recipe is the same, basically same malts, hallertau like hops, Magnum, Pearl, obviously slightly different variations for each brewery, but the brewery's beer every year is the same recipe. Now the only thing that's going to change, because I think they're going to be consistent in the brew house, I think the only thing that's going to change is seasonal weather, and that could affect the growth and the barley and the hops. I think the yeast will be the same because they'll keep reusing like a house yeast. So the only thing that can change is the hops and the barley due to weather. Now, I want to know, is that a subtle change or is that something you're going to pick up on each year? So that's why I'm doing this video, because I want to know, does it store well? Can I taste the difference? Now I have to point out, because I have stored it, I've stored it in the fridge for that amount of time, but they have gone past their best before on the 2022 versions, so that's going to make it, you know, that's going to knock it a little bit, but hopefully they've stored really well and it's not going to make a difference, not going to make a big enough difference that I'm going to notice it, but I'll find out. So it's going to be 12 beers tasted. I'm not going to do it all on one night, so I'm going to try and be as consistent as I can. I'm going to try and, you know, for continuity, but things are going to move, you're going to see differences, so I'm going to crack on, get into the first one, crack them on. I'm not doing blind tasting, I'm just going to do them visual, side by side, same glass, and then see what I come up with. So I'm going to go like they did this year, and I think they've done it for a while now. I'm going to crack the Spaten or the Spaten or the Spaten or the Spaten first, and like they do at the Munich, when the mayor knocks that first barrel, taps it, sorry, it was a Spaten one, and they've been doing that for a while, so I'm going to crack on and do the Spaten first. So let's carry on. Hopefully this video is not going to be too long. I'm just going to literally, I'm not going to be reviewing the beers, I'm just going to be tasting and doing the looks and just saying whether I like or would I store them. Okay, I'll crack on. Okay, so we're going with Spaten first, and as you can see straight away, exactly the same labelling each year. Everything is the same, front and back. It's a 500ml bottle, it's got the Munich brewery logo on the back. This one, like I say, it's got a 2024 best before, that's got the 2023. The left hand side is last year's. The prices, I actually bought from the same place. So last year's was £3.40, this year's was £3.80. So it's a 40p increase, which I don't think is bad when you think of things at the moment. So yeah, there you go, Oktoberfest beer, Spaten, and it's 5.9%. So everything's the same. I'm going to keep the left for last year, the right for right now, sort of thing. Same glasses, so I'll pour them, we'll get them in the glasses, and we'll have a look. Okay, first one, £3.40 on the top. Let's get this in. So, into the glass, last year's Spaten, as you can see there. Get a nice white head going. There we go. So last year's. Now for this year's. There we go, £3.80 on the top this year. Get that in the glass. So, right for right now. Hopefully you can see both of them. So one thing I'm noticing, oh no, actually it was a reflection, but I think there's a slightest of haze on last year's compared to this year's. Now that could be aged in the bottle, that could be the storing, but nice, same carbonation, rising up, nice white heads, both of them, creamy looking head, both of them, aroma, nice malty aroma there, really nice. It's just bready, slight hint of like a lemon slight, but it smells sweet and like you want to dive in. So right now's beer smells exactly the same, I am not joking. It's got the same sweet bready malt and that little subtle hint of floral lemon, just slightly there. Honestly, if I was doing this blind, I wouldn't be able to tell. They smell absolutely identical. So Spaten so far, slight haze, or is it a chill haze? Could be a chill haze, you know, on the glass. Now I'm looking at it. Now I'm not being funny, you might not be able to see it on camera, but there's a slight, and I'm talking like 1% slight haze on there compared to this year's. So, okay, let's go for last year's first. Prost. That's so good. So what I've learned straight away, you can store this year's Oktoberfest for next year on the Spaten. That looks superb. That's been stored in my fridge for a year, and that tastes fantastic, really does. It's got nice, sweet, bready, malty. You're getting a little bit of the hop note, and I mean slight, excuse me fam, there's a slight floral lemon there, definitely on the tongue. Okay, Prost for this year. Honestly, I can't tell them apart, I really can't. Identical on the palate, both sweet, nice though, nice sweetness, both sweet bready, both got this little hop note that's going on there, like a floral citrus note. No, I'm not talking IPA citrus, I'm talking a slight lemon note with a floral background. Both nice body, both fantastic carbonation, they're not overly carbonated. I could not, if I was blindfolded, I couldn't tell the difference. So there we go, Spaten, it stores. I can't tell the difference between year on year. So for me, I don't think there's a difference on the Spaten one. Going forward, we'll see, but it's interesting because if there is a slight note there because of them hops or them grains, because of the seasons, I'm not picking it up. I'm really not. Someone else may, this is just my opinion, but I would not pick it up, and I wouldn't pick it up in a blind tasting as well. So, Spaten, fantastic beer. Last year, this year, for me, no different. So we'll move on to the next one. What I didn't show you was, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, just so you know I'm not messing with the dates and stuff. So that's the last year's, so it's got this year's actually as a best before, which was actually July of this year that lasted till. And then you've got the one I bought this year is June 2024 of next year, just so you know. So yeah, like I say, there's not a lot in it. Don't know if you can hear the puppy then. So yeah, Spaten. Okay, so now we're back and we've got the Lowenbrau or Lowenbrau or Lion Brewery, and this. So again, the left is last year's, the right is right now. £3.40 last year, £3.80 this year. Again, exactly the same on the front of the bottles, exactly the same on the back of the bottles, and I don't know if you can see that. That's got the date there, so that's got the July 23. That's the best before. And we've got July 24 on this one. So keeping them to the left and the right, let's crack them open. So, got a nice little hiss there. £3.40 makes me laugh on the bottle top there. So, into the glass. So this is last year's, the Lowenbrau. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. Let's get it in there. Let's see. Carbonation's looking low. Get a little bit of a head formed. There we go. There's last year's. Let's get this year's in. Apologies if you can hear the dog. That's the puppy. So there you go. Same again, exactly the same as a Spaten. I can see a slight haze. You probably can't see it on camera again, but I can see it for sure on this one compared to this one. And now I just think that is just because it's been stored, and that's the only difference. I don't see any other difference. Carbonation running up the same, nice. Both got nice white creamy heads. It's just that slight haze, which I think is from storage. I really do. So, aroma. Oh, nice. This is just full of malt. Nice bready, sweet bread, white bread malt. Sweet notes, really sweet. Not picking up on any hop note on that one like I did on the Spaten one. Oh. People probably won't believe me when I'm saying there is no difference whatsoever in aroma. Sweet bready malt, both of them, and pretty much identical. Like I say, 1% haze. What percentage is it? Lowenbrau? Yeah, 6.1 for both. So everything so far identical. Okay. Prost. Or Prost. Sweet malt. Nice. There's no bitterness, as in no astringency. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. Nice carbonation. It feels a little bit more. You can feel the strength on this one. But yeah, just sweet malt, easy. Drinkability, no problem. Prost. Honestly, I'm not picking anything apart from. I'm not picking any differences. No difference in carbonation, no difference in bitterness, no difference in sweetness. Absolutely identical to me. Feels like I'm drinking the same beer. Honestly, if I was doing this blind, I'd have no idea. Only the fact that I'm pouring them, knowing that this one's last year's, this one's this year's, and this was the second beer in, and this is a thought I had was these are German brewers. They know consistency, and they thrive on that. And the yeast is the same. That yeast isn't going to change. You're going to get the same yeasty. It's going to do its same attenuation. They've worked on it, they're refined with that yeast. That yeast does a lot of work. And if there is differences in the malt, it is so subtle, or the hops, it is subtle that I can't tell side by side. So there's no way I could say last year's was better because doing them side by side, even though this one's just out of date, there's no difference. There's no difference. So again, it's saying the Spaten and the Lowenbrau, you can store them even if you go past the best before, because they're still producing a fantastic beer which is tasting absolutely great. I mean, that's the one that's stored. Look at that. There's the one that's fresher, even fresher. No, you wouldn't. I'd like to know who could pick them out. I can't. I honestly can't. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Right, so we're moving on to the Hofbrau then. Straight away, I mean, this is last year's 340, this year's is 380. Expired April 23, this one. And the difference, I mean, apart from they've got stickers on top, the caps, this one's like a gold, as orange or copper, and this one's gold. So that's the difference there, the colour in the caps. And also on the back, this year's has got the official Munich brewery sort of logo on it, and last year's, I can't find that. Can't see that on last year's, which is a bit strange. And then also on the front, last year's detail here compared to this year's has got GGA, if anyone knows what that means, on here. So yeah, so a couple of differences on the actual bottle art. I'll see if I can get them just the actual price stickers off. It doesn't really make a difference, does it? So anyway, let's get into them. So left is last year's, right is this year's. I'll crack them open, get them in the glass. Okay, so last year's Hofbrau. Hopefully I'm saying that, well, my pronunciation's as best I can. So it's looking lovely and clear. Compared to Spaten and Lowenbrau, they had a slight haze. Slight, I mean like 1% haze, but it's noticeable. So there's last year's. And then we've got this year's Hofbrau. So already it's looking very similar. If anything, this year's is just a little bit less carbonated, but that might just be me. So there we go. There's both beers in the glasses, side by sides. The same nice golden straw colour, both clear as a bell. Nice creamy white heads on both. Nothing to say different there. Carbonation levels look exactly the same. So nothing to detect on looks. Aroma, just smells like a really, really good lager. Nice lager malt, bready, honey, slight grassy note, or floral from the hop, slightly. But nice sweet malt breads on that one, last year's. This year, same again. It smells like a really good lager. Sweet, honey, malty, bready. That same little hint of grassiness or floral from the hop. No, honestly, people probably won't believe me with this, but I'm just not detecting the difference. Nope. Okay, let's go for last year's beer tasting. Frost. Seems like that bottle was best before April. I say April. Yeah, April 2023. That is lovely. Crisp, clean, nice, sweet. Not Spaten sweet, because I think Spaten is really sweet compared to the last beer and this beer. For sure. This is a little bit sweeter than the, I can't remember the last beer I did, was it Lowenbrau? But that is really enjoyable, crisp, clean, nice sweet malts, the honeyness, the breadiness, it's all there. And that's from an out of date Oktoberfest from Hofbrau. Okay, Prost. If I'm going to be, say, slight, last year's is 5% sweeter than this one, but that could be because of the age and the hop has died off in the bottle, so it's just brought the sweetness back from the malt. Could be, I don't know, I'm not a scientist. So that is there's a slight difference, but everything else is exactly the same. It's just got the same bready, grassy, clean, crisp notes. Honestly, I'm not having it that people. The thing is, to remember 12 months ago what that tasted like, and then to go, oh, it tasted so different last year, and I didn't like it. Honestly, I couldn't do it. And even now, both in front of me, we're talking such a small margin of difference in that sweetness, and that might just be me as well. Let me go again. Oh, it's so slight. I think it's so subtle and slight. There's no way I would remember that from last year. There's no way. They're just like the exact same beers to me. Really good beers. 6.3%. Fantastic beers. Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer. Okay, move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're back with Paulaner or Paulaner. So this is our Oktoberfest beer. This one is from last year, and this was May 2023, the best before. It's 500 ml, 6%. No difference whatsoever in the bottle art. No changes on the front. Caps are the same. £3.40 last year, £3.80 this year. But I do know you can get that. Well, could get that for £1.99 in Aldi recently. So let's get last year's in the glass. So let's see. I do like the Paulaner beer. I think it's a nice beer. So there you go. Well, I've got the price stuck to me. Okay, so in the glass, it's pouring really clear. Looking at that, seems that only the Spaten and the Lowenbrau were the only ones that had a slight hazy tint to them. There we go. Last year's. Let's get this year's open. Same again. In the glass, pouring the same. Nice clear, nice white, creamy head forming. There we go. So both in the glass, identical, no difference whatsoever. Carbonation, everything about them, identical. I can't see a difference whatsoever on the eye. Okay, on the nose, just nice malty, sweet bread notes again. All these so far have been very similar on the nose, very similar. Yeah, slight honey note. Smells really inviting. Yeah, same again. Exactly the same. Honey malt, bready, sweet bread. Just clean and inviting. Okay, last year's. Prost. Clean, crisp. What I would say about these beers so far, the ABV has been hidden on all of them. You're not picking up on that. But that's clean, crisp, malty, slight grassy note there, but it's got a honey sweetness. It's what I expect from Paulaner. Okay, this year's. Prost. Identical. It's exactly the same flavours in both glasses. It really is. Honey malt, like honey sweetness, bready malt, nice carbonation, clean, crisp. Just really good beer. There's no difference. I checked on their website. The ingredients, they say they've been same recipe for years. Honestly, it's only going to be the seasonal stuff with malts and hops. The same yeast will be used, should give you the same characters, which it is doing. Yeah, so a beer that was May 2023 from Paulaner, stored in a fridge, Oktoberfest from last year, tastes just as good as this year's. So you can store them. They work. They lager in the fridge. There's no difference. I am not picking up a difference again. So that's with four bores. I'm not drank them all on the same night ever. We're 4 beers in, and only the Hofbrau had the slightest note of difference, which was a slight sweeter beer in last year's bottle than this year's, but that could have been because of aging, could have been a bit of oxidised, or it could have actually been the fact that the malt last year was a little bit sweeter. But that's the only one that's had, and I'm talking small figures, 5% or something. But so far, everything is so close and so subtle. I don't know, I've got 2 beers to go. and to me, my palate, they're all great beers, and there's nothing in it from a year old to the fresh one. Okay, let's move on to the next beer. Okay, so now it's Hacker-Pschorr. The bottles are identical. So this one is last year's. This is the recent one. Both of them from the bottle shop, from the bottle stop, £3.40. So this one hasn't increased, where the rest have gone up 40p, which I don't think is bad in 12 months. So I think the labels exactly the same. No differences on there. Oktoberfest Marzen. So this is a Marzen beer. So traditionally, Marzen beers were brewed for Oktoberfest. I think Hacker-Pschorr, obviously they still do a Marzen. I don't even know if you do this at the Oktoberfest or they do a fest beer to serve at the Oktoberfest. I've never been to Oktoberfest, so I couldn't tell you. It's the same with the other breweries. I don't know if they do Marzen still, but I think, to be honest, it is just changed over to the fest beers for all of them, but maybe Hacker-Pschorr are still doing a Marzen at the Oktoberfest. Let me know in the comments if you know about that. So it's the only one in the bottle, which is a Marzen beer brewed in March, and then it's basically lagered over the summer and then bring it out in September, celebration, and then the Oktoberfest traditionally. That's the idea of a Marzen beer. So what alcohol's this? 5.8%, 500ml bottle, exactly the same stuff on the back, caps are the same, flip top bottles, nothing more to say. Okay, so last year's, let's crack it open, let's see if we get a bit of a, well, no, nothing too lively. I've got my little Hacker-Pschorr glass, so I'll try and get this on the camera for you. So it's going to be a lot darker than your fest beers. Different malts in here, darker malts, some specialty malts, maybe dark Munich malt or something like that in this one. So there you go. That's last year's brew, or last year's bottle anyway, at least. And then we've got this year's. Same sort of, nothing too exciting there. Bit of smoke. And I mean that first one looks great. Just double check, 2024. Okay, so looks, I think absolutely identical. Even the carbonation levels look identical. This one's lost its head, dissipated a bit, but that could be the glass. I don't know. This one's kept its head, so it could be the glass. It could be the fact that it's last year's. Not too sure. That one's definitely got a nice creamy head. This one's dissipated. I've got a feeling it might be the glass more than anything. So aroma. Nice. This has got like a toffee caramel. More toffee caramel notes. Deeper toffee. Darker caramel. Okay. Smells really, really good. I'd say that one actually is slightly less on the toffee and dark caramel. But it's definitely there. Also, I feel like I'm picking up on a slight bitter note on the nose. So there's a slight, I'm talking margins again, fine margins here, actually. Very slight. So I reckon you're just picking up the hop in that's in there. I mean, they're not hoppy anyway, but because it's a bit fresher, it's not been lagered for another year in a bottle, you might be getting a little bit of that bitter. What I'm classing as bitter is actually the hop note. Both smell fantastic. See, that head's gone now as well. So I think that's the glass, to be honest, the glassware. Okay, I'm trying to do it whilst I've got that in my face. Let me just readjust. Okay, right. So last year's Prost. Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, I've not done all six. Well, I've not even done the sixth one yet. I've not done all these 5 beers in one night, but I'm trying to recut, go back. That's more me. I mean, the other beers are fantastic, but this one's a bit more me, a bit more maltiness. Definitely, there is a caramel note there, and it's got a nice, slight bitterness which just balances it. It's not overly sweet. It's got a slight sweetness from the malt, but it's not overly sweet. Really good. What did I say? 5.8%, didn't I? quite easy drinking. That tastes absolutely great, and that was, so let's say it says best before on here, May 2023. So we're going back, well, when I'm drinking it now, 4.5 months. We're going back there because I'm drinking it in September. That's good. That's really good. So that's stored. That worked. Okay. Recent beer. Prost. Not a lot of difference, but yeah, it's got that fresh hop note there. It's just coming through slightly more than this one. So you've had the hop fade in the bottle. That's one of the first things going to go when you're storing it for over time, is the hop. I mean, if it's a New England IPA, it'd probably be next to no hop flavour there after a year's storage, after it's probably been brewed 18 months ago. But with that, because it's malt forward beers, you can just about pick up the hop in this, and I'm talking just that slight grassy note, basically. But behind that, the malt is exactly like this one. This is one of the ones where it doesn't quite work, this, because I reckon 12 months ago that would have been pretty much identical. Like I say about that hop fade, maybe change that. But I don't think, again, if I was drinking that, the recent one today, there's no way in my mind I'd go, oh, last year I remember it being like this, because like I say, apart from that slight hop note in this one, which I'm sure would have been in that one last year, I can't really tell the difference, because the malt backbone is identical. It's bready, it's toffee, it's caramel. It's a little bit more robust than the others, but it's supposed to be, it's a Marson. So yeah, again, I really don't know how someone can say that beer is superior to last year's beer. I think they're, again, the same beer. They are the same recipe. Like I say, seasons, that's the only thing that's really changed. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last one now. Okay, so now we're back with the last beer, and this is the Augustiner Brau. Hopefully I'm pronouncing these right. I'm not pronouncing them right. Don't know why I'm saying that. And prices exactly the same again. £3.80 last year from the bottle stop, £3.80 this year. This one is got a date of, well, this is a new one, I need to switch them around without getting them wrong. So last year's has got a date of February 23 on it. Show you that. I don't know if you can see that just there. I don't know if that's going to focus. And the latest one is January 24. Now, Augustiner Brau, I've been to their beer garden in Munich, and it was absolutely, oh, what a day. Superb place, that. Absolutely fantastic. And I think I'm correct in saying that Augustiner Brau actually still, at Oktoberfest, have the wooden barrels. So they're serving them from the wooden barrels. So yeah, fantastic brewery, Augustiner. Really do think, well, yeah, they're just superb. Anyway, not here about that. Let's get the beers in the glass. So last year's on the left, more recent on the right. Hope this is going to work. Oh, you can see that the carbonation there. So this is last year's. Like I say, it's been in the fridge, been stored. Pouring ultra pale, which yeah, that's, well, fest beer, isn't it? When you think about the Hacker-Pschorr, the difference is unbelievable. There you go, lovely looking head. Lovely looking beer. Looks fantastic. Last year's beer, that just looks superb to me. Nice light straw colour. Get this year's beer in the glass. See, it's not got that raising head coming up there. So this is this year's beer. Looks to me identical, really ultra pale straw in colour. I don't think there is a difference at all in the two beers in colour. So let's put them up. There we go. Nothing at all. Nice carbonation. This one's got slightly more carbonation, I can see, rising up. But colours, white, fluffy heads on both beers. Like I say, ultra pale, ultra clear. Yeah, just looks fantastic. Okay, last year's brew. Prost. No. Let's get the aroma. Honey. Again, we're going back to the fest beer. Honey, sweet, brioche, sweet bread notes. Exactly the same. That honey note, that sweet bread, brioche, not picking up on any hop. Like on the Hacker-Pschorr, there's that slight, fresher hop note. That's the only difference. On this one, exactly the same notes in both. I didn't say what the ABV is. 6.3%. Is this the strongest one? Or was Hofbrau the same? Might be the same. Like I say, it was a few nights ago. Okay, last year's. Prost. Oh, that's lovely. That has got a slight pepper note to it, which is superb. It's got that sweet malt, that honey's there. There's a little bit of a hop note going on, that noble hop note, that grassy, earthy hedgerow note. Well, that is cracking. So that's stored. That's a beer that was out of date in February this year. It's now September. That's stored. That is absolutely fantastic. That is drinking really, really well. Crisp, clean, refreshing. Prost. It's exactly the same. On the palate, excuse the phone. On the palate, they are exactly the same beers. Nice, crisp, honey, brioche, sweet bread, and that slight touch of a noble hop note going on through both beers. Carbonation, this one slightly more carbonated, I'll give you that for sure. This one less so, you can see. So for me, on my palate, I prefer the lesser carbonated beer. But the taste, both coating, both clean, both crisp, there's no difference. So we've got this year's Augustiner, last year's Augustiner, absolutely fantastic beers. And I've gone through them all now, that's the 6. And to me, I don't know, I was expecting that, God, this is disgusting, it's just not right, and these off notes, and it's oxidized, and it just wasn't going to work, and I was going to pick out the big differences, especially if not, it's been stored for a year, it's going to taste off. But no, all 6 I'd happily drink. I'd like to know who can pick out the differences, because if there's differences, they're so subtle for me. On my opinion, every beer has been subtle difference. I mean, really subtle. I can't really pick anything between them two. If there's something there, it's going to be so minimal. And there's no way that, me personally, I would remember last year's beer and be able to compare it to this year's beer when the difference in front of me now is so subtle. And that beer's been aged as well. And it's still, I reckon, if there is anything subtle, it would have been identical last year. So for me, I'm happy to say that even though the Oktoberfest beers are brewed each year and it's the same recipe, and the only difference is seasons, like the terroir, the hops, the malts, I understand that can change, but I don't think the changes are big enough to remember a year later. And for me, doing this side by side a year later, I think it's so subtle. So my personal opinion is I'm going to enjoy Oktoberfest beers for what they are. Really good beers, really good recipes each year, and just enjoy them for that moment and not think last year's was different, last year's was better, because I think I'm happy now going forward that there's not that much difference year on year, really is. If there's anything, it's subtle. And the beers, these breweries want to be consistent and be, sending out these beers every year to be the quality that that people are raving about. Why would they change so much that people can notice it? I don't think they can. I don't think they would. I don't think they want to, because especially these are professional brewers and they know what they're doing. And when you go to Oktoberfest, I'm pretty certain that beer is pretty much the same year on year. And there we go, Augustiner Brown. Like I say, that one's got less carbonation. There may be subtle differences in the other 5 beers, but I'm happy to say that, in my opinion, I don't think the difference is that noticeable. And my memory's not good enough to go last year, 12 months ago, that was a different beer and it tasted different, or this year's is better than last year's. Not from this video. Okay, well, that's a long video. I do apologise, but I've been waiting a year to do this one. I wanted to do it because, like I say, seeing so many people saying it's, you know, the beer changes year on year, the taste is different year on year, this version's better than last year's version. And for me, personally, it's all the same. And I'm happy that I've come to that conclusion as well, because I enjoy Oktoberfest beers and I'm really trying to struggle to find the differences year on year, and now I've got the beers next to each other year on year. I've not really noticed a difference. I've enjoyed them. What I have learned is these beers store really, really well. So if you've got any Oktoberfest beers you want to keep them for next year, store them in a fridge. You're going to get a good beer at the end of it. Okay, thanks for watching if you've made it to the end. I really do appreciate it. I'll say Prost, and I'll see you on the next one.